Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Krishna, Krishna डियर डिवोटीज, आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास में। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna, dear viewers. We welcome you all in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. आज प्रभु जी हमें beautiful lessons provide करेंगे from chapter 20, Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam. और जैसा कि हम सब जानते हैं, मैत्रेय मुनि और विदुर जी के बीच में संवाद चल रहा है. Meanwhile, at the high level, श्रील सुखदेव गोस्वामी जी ब्यूटीफुल भगवत कथा नरेट कर रहे हैं परीक्षित महाराज को. आज प्रभु जी हमें बहुत ही इंसाइटफुल लेसन्स देंगे, हाउ वी कैन डील विद डेंजर्स एट एवरी स्टेप ऑफ आवर लाइफ, इजंट इट प्रभु जी? पहले तो मैं सारे व्यूअर्स को वेलकम करती हूँ, और खासकर न्यू व्यूअर्स को जो पहली बार ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास. आप अपनी लोकेशंस बताएंगे तो हमें बहुत अच्छा लगेगा, और अपनी ग्रीटिंग्स लिख सकते हैं, लेकिन अपने क्वेश्चंस कृपया क्लास के डिस्कोर्स के एंड में कमेंट्स में लिखिए, सो दैट वी डोंट मिस इट. एंड वी हैव सीमा जी, हरे कृष्णा, सोनल शर्मा जी, वी हैव करुणा सिंधु प्रभु, बैसाखी पड़ी, सनी मल्होत्रा, हरे कृष्णा सभी को, बदन करमारकर, हरि बोल, भूपेंद्र भगत, हरि बोल सभी व्यूवर्स को, सौरभ राय, कमल पटेल, गीता जी, भूपेंद्र जी, हरि बोल, माँ ब्रेंटन, बधन जी, हरे कृष्णा. बहुत सारे नाम पीछे स्क्रॉल कर गए हैं, आई एम अनेबल टू गो, बट आप सभी का खास स्वागत है. अनूप यादव जी, दीपा राव जी, मनोज पिपलवा जी, ब्रजेश मित्तल जी, राधे यादव, रिंकू जी. हरे कृष्णा. प्रभु जी, प्लीज गो अहेड विद द श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us for Mangalacharan prayers. We'll sing them together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiriye. श्रवतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हे भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us.
प्रभु जी, let me put on this microphone.
Hare Krishna. So we'll be reciting the first verse. I'll quickly recite the first verse and the translation, and then we will, do the Guru Pranati, followed by diving into 3 important lessons that we learn from this chapter. So there are just 3 lessons. Yes, there are more than 50 verses, but 3 lessons. So we have concised everything within those 3 lessons. Hare Krishna. And Devi, are you going to place the verse? Have you placed the verse?
Yes.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, Verse 1.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So you can read along with us. Shaunaka uvacha mahim pratishtham adyasya saute swambhuvo manuhu Kanyanvatishthadvarani Margayavara Janmanam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shaunak inquired, O Sutta Goswami, after the earth was again situated in its orbit, what did Swambhuva Manu do to show the path of liberation to persons who were to take birth later on? Hare Krishna. So again, please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we will be learning how to seek protection from the dangers at every step. So at every step in this world, we are facing dangers. Some know it, some don't. Again, just like we say, everyone, every living entity is an eternal servant of the Lord. Some know it, some don't. So here, at every step in life, we are facing challenges. And many times psychologists, if you meet them and many of the philosophers, they basically say, well, challenges are the symptom of life, because there is no challenge for a dead person or to a dead object, because there is nothing they have to do. They're just lying there. They're just jada, right? And that is the nature of this material world, where even though it is jada, how are we getting all these tribulations, challenges in our life? So some are, again, caused by others, some are caused by us. So the one, Adhyatmic, we talked about it. Our own mental speculation, sometimes when we become intelligent, then it just changes. The speculation changes from mental to philosophical speculation. Because we are looking at the literary aspect without understanding the context. जब हम किस परिस्थितियों में हैं, based on समय काल पात्र, time, place and circumstances को हम नहीं consider करते हैं, तो we get bewildered, right, in that state. And because of illusion, that thinking we are this body, we fall into many of the traps on our own. Nobody else has to plan anything for us. We automatically will fall. So here, there is a description coming. And now Shaunaka is asking, so who is Shaunaka? All of a sudden people are surprised. Wait a minute, we are discussing about Maitreya Muni and, describing the killing of Hiranyaksh, right, to Vidurji. And Vidurji had expressed this because Maitreya Muni earlier, जब वो describe कर रहे थे, that Lord Brahma, after he woke up, जब ब्रह्मा जी जागे, उन्होंने तप किया, भगवान से उनको क्रिएटिव इम्पिटस मिला, और उस समय उन्होंने डिस्क्राइब किया कि किस तरह से देवता गण आए, मनु आए, और उसके बाद में वराहदेव, अर्थ फेल आउट ऑफ इट्स ऑर्बिट एंड वराहदेव ने लिफ्ट किया. सो अगेन in chapter 16, there is a reference given where it is Chakshusha Manu's time that Varahadeva appeared. But here it is clarified. So again, that was in the purport. So again, sometimes it happens that, things may be out of context. So here in this chapter, in the purport, it said that it is the time of Swayambhuva Manu, jab Bhagwan Varaha रूप में आए, not Chakshusha Manu के time पे. स्वयंभुवा मनु पहले आए, उसके बाद में चक्षुषा मनु, और इस समय कौन से मनु हैं जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर हैं इस यूनिवर्स के? वैवस्वत मनु, his son of Vivaswan, the sun god. So that's why his name is also Vaivasvata Manu. And so अब स्वयंभुवा मनु का जब डिस्क्रिप्शन आ रहा है, that means secondary creation, जो ब्रह्मा जी secondary creation कर रहे हैं उससे. So in this chapter we go to the next step, right? We also understand the purpose of the creation. So that's the first lesson that we are going to cover mostly. Purpose of the creation. There are two purposes of this material world creation, because the spiritual worlds exist eternally, and there everyone is, with pleasure, with jubilation, with enthusiasm, with gratitude, with love, with devotion, is serving Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa and his Somshas, like Vishnu Tattva. So all the Vishnu avatars, Lord Ramchandra, Lord Varahadev, Lord Nrsimhadev, and so many. We talked about the 24 four-arm Vishnu forms, which also includes Kṛṣṇa as one of the forms. And of course, we also understand Lord Kṛṣṇa, the two-arm form, is the supreme form because he is the avatari. Ete chams kalahapum sa Kṛṣṇastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Loke Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. So ete cha ams kalahapum sa. So all these portions and planetary portions as Vishnu Tattvas, they are they are inventing, that's why they are called avatar or incarnations. Yet at the same time, Lord Krishna is the avatari. He is the origin of all these incarnations. And all Vishnu Tattvas are considered one. So you can be there and I can be here. We cannot be anywhere. But Lord Krishna, while he is in Golok Vrindavan, while he does not step out of Golok Vrindavan, as Acharyas explain, yet he is all pervading because he expands. And with his internal potency, he is expanding in the spiritual universe and making sure that everything is taken care of, while in the material universe, he is expanding in the Vishnu forms. So the primary creation we already covered and has been referred briefly in this particular chapter. So Shaunaka Rishi, he is at Naimisharanya. He is asking Sutta Goswami, and Sutta Goswami is narrating the conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidurji. And so again, there are some wonderful pictures here. So this is Sutta Goswami at Naimisharanya. He is narrating the conversation between Vidurji and Maitreya Muni. And Maitreya Muni is feeling very delighted after describing the pastime of Lord Varahadev, how he appeared and took back his pure devotee, his associate, the doorkeeper Vijay, back to Vaikuntha. So again, so that is one way of looking at it from devotee's perspective. From general perspective, the demon Hiranyaksha was killed. But Lord, when he kills someone or when he blesses someone, both attain, blessings. Because Lord is absolute. He is not of this material world. We, when relating to the body, think in relative terms. But, Lord is at the absolute, here as an absolute truth. He is absolute. Just like sun can be, shining on a dirty place as well as on a nice, clean place. And even the dirty place becomes clean because of the sun rays. The bacteria and other germs are destroyed because of the effect of sun rays. So we understand that, Lord, whether he blesses someone or whether he punishes someone, both are benefited. So no matter what, we should come to the shelter of Lord, but also understand, Acharyas explain that we should not have inimical feeling towards Lord. Why? Because that could cause us to make offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord as well as of Vaishnavas, his pure devotees, his devotees, and even Janaprad, general populace. If you offend, then that would cause reactions and we'll have to suffer those reactions. Now sometimes people say, Prabhuji, if people don't want to hear Krishna Katha and you do Krishna Katha and they feel offended, what to do in that case? Well, Lord Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart and he is pleased to hear Krishna Katha. But because of material affliction, the living entity may be adverse to listening Krishna Katha. So in that case, Lord Krishna says, okay, the arrangement is made so that people who are interested, people who are surrendered to the Lord's lotus feet, they are attracted to hear Krishna Katha, and others who are not attracted to hear Krishna Katha, they automatically will leave. Because, their mind is disturbed. So, and this, they are coming, everyone is coming by their own accord, right? No one is forcing anyone to come here. So that is also where it is not, there is no scenario of Janaprad. Yes, there are scenarios where people, they take offenses no matter what happens, right? Sometimes I have seen, and this is a real life, story, where there were two sons, a couple had these two sons, and the older one, the first son, जो पहला बेटा था, जो बड़ा बेटा था, वो हर चीज़ पे कंप्लेन करता था, और जो छोटा बेटा था वो हर चीज़ से खुश रहता था. तो उनको समझ में नहीं आया. फिर उन्होंने कहा चलो इस बार जब हमारा दिवाली का ओकेजन होगा ना, हम इनको अप्रोप्रिएटली जस्ट टेस्ट करते हैं कि ऐसा क्यों है. यानी दोनों बेटे कंप्लीटली अपोजिट साइड, एक्सट्रीम्स हैं. एंड तो उन्होंने क्या किया, दिवाली के समय ढेर सारे गिफ्ट्स, ऑल टाइप ऑफ वीडियो गेम्स, स्पोर्ट्स, all kind of books, comics and all that stuff they got, they packed it with the older sons. जो बड़े बेटे के नाम से उन्होंने रख दिया, छोटे बेटे के नाम से उन्होंने एक बॉक्स में कुछ रखा है. तो ठीक है, अब बड़ा बेटा आता है, राइट, वो खोलता है पहला गिफ्ट. Oh, it's a beautiful bicycle. He had been asking, everyone has been asking for bicycle and he got the best. जो current trend में है, the best mountain bike he has got. He's like, okay, there is a bike, but I'm not going to go and climbing mountain with this bike, so what's the use? He puts it on the side. The younger one is seeing that there are so many gifts for the older one, so he's very attractively looking, wow. And then he's more interested in first seeing what the older one got, then he will look at his. And the parents are also seeing. So he opens one game, he says, oh, this is board game hai, very nice, but it takes so much time in setting up the board game. Usko collect karna, aur koi part miss ho jaye to the whole game becomes useless. He puts it in a side. Then he picks up another game. Oh, it's a video game. Oh, okay. So I can play. But then, this, is not so attractive. Maybe I have this game. Oh, I got this game also. Oh, I got this game also. But you know what? I really don't have any attraction. These video games, I don't feel interested sitting in front of videos. Even though we realize that kids nowadays, they are really attracted to the video games. And then he's seeing some interesting gadgets. He's getting a nice, school bag and everything. He's one after another gifts. The gifts some kids would dream of, he's getting those, but he's like putting them aside. Okay, whatever. The younger one is very excited after he has seen that the older one got this. He opens up his box. उसके अंदर क्या देखता है? A horse's poop, right? And then he is excited. He's jumping. He's running to his parents. मेरे लिए घोड़ा लाए हो? मेरे लिए घोड़ा लाए हो? घोड़ा कहाँ है? He's thinking that if there is a horse poop, there must be a horse, right? So even though he got something in his gifts, he actually, was excited in a positive way. The parents were shocked. And जब इस तरह की स्टोरी हम रियल लाइफ की बताते हैं तो people will say, well, is there any reference in the Shastras? Yes, there are many references in the Shastras. And Lord Shiva and Parvati के तो बहुत सारे conversations इस topic पे हुए हैं. एक बार क्या हुआ, लॉर्ड शिव एंड पार्वती जी वो जा रहे थे तो देखते थे कि एक मंदिर के बाहर दो भिखारी बैठे रहते हैं. पार्वती हमेशा देखती हैं कि शिव जी दोनों को देते हैं, लेकिन वो बोलती हैं कि ये बेचारा बहुत सफ़र कर रहा है, ये जो बूढ़ा भिखारी है इसको कुछ दे दो. हाँ, और ये जो नौजवान है ये तो काम भी कर सकता है, इसको ज़्यादा मत दिया करो. तो शिव जी बोलते हैं ठीक है, एज यू डिज़ायर. सो क्या कहते हैं, एक तरबूज दे देते हैं उस बूढ़े वाले को. जो बूढ़ा भिखारी होता है वो बोलता है मैं तरबूज का क्या करूँगा. वो जो यौवन होता है ना, जो नया यंग भिखारी जो होता है उसके बगल में बैठा होता है, बोलता है युवक से कि तुम तरबूज लेना चाहोगे. एंड शिव जी स्माइल कर रहे हैं. पार्वती जी बोल रही है देखा आपने भी दिया तो क्या दिया. बोलते हैं जस्ट वॉच. बोलते हैं उसके भाग्य में नहीं है, व्हाट कैन आई डू. तो वो 5 रुपए में उसको तरबूज दे देता है. और यंग भिखारी जो होता है ना, वो जाता है सोचते चलो आज दोपहर को घर पे जाके इसे काटूंगा अच्छी तरह से, परिवार को भी खिलाऊंगा, खुद भी खाऊंगा. और जैसे उसे काटता है तो उसके अंदर क्या होते हैं, सोने जवाहरात भरे होते हैं. तो शिव जी बोलते हैं देखा देवी, मैंने बताया था उसके भाग्य में ही नहीं है. जो बूढ़ा भिखारी है उसके भाग्य में ही नहीं है, और उसकी जो मेंटालिटी है, जो उसको मिल रहा है उसको भगवान का प्रसाद समझ के या फिर भगवान की कृपा समझ के भगवान को भोग चढ़ाते हुए. अब वो जो यंग भिखारी तो उसे भगवान को भोग चढ़ाने के लिए जैसे उसे काटा तो ऑटोमेटिकली उसमें से इतना मिला. एंड उसके बाद में यंग भिखारी ने उसको पैसे को बोला कि भगवान के मंदिर से मिला है. तो थोड़ा सा इलेबरेट किया गया है शास्त्र में कि उसको भगवान के फैसिलिटीज़ बढ़ाने के लिए धर्मशाला खोलने में काम में लगाया, ताकि बाकी लोगों को आसानी से भगवान का प्रसाद मिल सके. सो अगेन, नॉट जस्ट मेंटालिटी इज रिक्वायर्ड, नॉट जस्ट द माइंडसेट इज रिक्वायर्ड. हमारी धारणा ही स्वच्छ नहीं होनी चाहिए, शुद्ध नहीं होनी चाहिए, हमारे कार्य जो उनसे हों वो भी उसी हिसाब से होने चाहिए. सो एट नैमिषारण्य, सुत गोस्वामी इज रिसाइटिंग श्रीमद् भागवतम टू सो मेनी सेजेस. वो ये सेजेस क्यों यहाँ पे कलेक्ट हुए हैं नैमिषारण्य, विच इज द स्पोक ऑफ दिस यूनिवर्स. सो इट इज़ वेरी इन्फ्लुएंशियल प्लेस उस हिसाब से देखा जाए. और यहाँ पे सारे सेजेस हैं टू परफॉर्म यज्ञ. So to ward off the effect of Kali age, for 1000 years they performed yajna. And this Srimad Bhagavatam Sutta Goswami ने कहाँ से सीखी? Of course in disciplic succession. He was present in the assembly where Shukdev Goswami was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. जो सुखदेव गोस्वामी यमुना तट पे परीक्षित महाराज को, यस, बैंक ऑफ गैंजेस. सो आफ्टर संगम, यमुना इज ऑल्सो रिफर्ड टू बाय अनदर नेम एज गंगा. एंड गंगा का जो वेस्टर्न बैंक है उस पे उसको यमुना बोला जाता है आफ्टर संगम, और जो ईस्टर्न, जो पूर्वी तट है उसको गंगा बोला जाता है, और जो पश्चिमी है उसको यमुना बोला जाता है. So again, from that perspective, so he was present, और इस assembly में great personalities like Atri Muni, Vyasdev, Devashi Narad, Asita, Devala, many great personalities, sages were present. And Shukdev Goswami, his body appearance is just like that of a 16-year-old boy. 16 साल का नव यौवन शरीर है शुकदेव गोस्वामी का, लेकिन उनकी उम्र 16 साल नहीं है. He is hundreds of years older than Parikshit Maharaj. So again, that is also another story जो हम लोगों ने 11th कैंटो में लास्ट ईयर कवर करी थी, और लास्ट ईयर भी 10th कैंटो 9th कैंटो के रेफरेंस पे आया था इनका डिस्क्रिप्शन. तो ब्रह्मा जी, तो शौनक ऋषि पूछ रहे हैं, ही इज द स्पोक्स पर्सन ऑफ द सेजेस एट नैमिषारण्य. वो सुत गोस्वामी से पूछते हैं कि तो ये जो डिस्क्रिप्शन है इसके बारे में आगे कुछ बताइए कि आप जब अर्थ को, पृथ्वी को उठा के वापस उसके ऑर्बिट में स्टैब्लिश कर दिया भगवान ने, तो स्वयंभव मनु ने क्या कहा रिगार्डिंग द पाथ ऑफ लिबरेशन. सो and this is for people who took birth later on. So from Manu comes Manushya or Manav, right? So we living entities, human beings, are coming, right, because of Manu. So again, from that perspective, so he is and he laid out the laws that we should abide by in Manu Samhita. And लोगों को एक law बहुत ज़्यादा प्रिय है, which is capital punishment. मनु संहिता में कहा है कि किसी ने किसी की हत्या की है तो उसको इमीडिएटली कैपिटल पनिशमेंट देना चाहिए. एंड देन व्हाई इज दैट नॉट डन एट करंट टाइम्स? बिकॉज many cases have been revealed later on that the wrong person was given capital punishment. That's why capital punishment is not supported in current times, because many innocent people were, sent to, were given this capital punishment, and they died while they had no fault. So that's again, there is danger at every step. तो शौनक ऋषि की जो इंक्वायरी है विदु जी से, बोलते हैं अब विदु जी हैं, ही वॉज अबाउट विदु जी कि वो तो ग्रेट डिवोटी हैं, राइट? तो उनका थोड़ा डिस्क्रिप्शन फॉर पीपल हु डोंट नो अबाउट विदु जी विल कवर लिटिल बिट. विदु जी इज दासी पुत्र, यस, सन ऑफ अ मेड सर्वेंट, बट हिज फादर इज Shri Kṛṣṇa Dvapanya Vyasdev. So Srila Vyasdev, who wrote all the Puranas, all the Shastras and Mahabharata, Ramayana and so forth, जो इन्होंने लिख दी, again वाल्मीकि जी ने रामायण लिखी, yes, and व्यासदेव जी ने महाभारत and other Puranas लिखे. So ये जो उन्होंने लिखा, he is the father. तो like father, like son. तो again Viduji is also a Mahatma. He is not a general person. He is a great personality. He is one of the Mahajanas. Why? Because originally it was Yamraj. और उनको जो श्राप मिला उसके कारण वो दासी पुत्र की तरह, विदुजी की तरह उन्होंने जन्म लिया है. And Yamraj is one of the Mahajanas, right? In the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, he himself reveals the 12 Mahajanas. And so, this is a conversation between an Aditya, Maitreya Muni, son of Mitra, who's an Aditya, son of Aditi and Kashyapa Muni, and a Mahajana Yamraj, who's also a descendant on the Aditi side. So again, two of them are discussing these pastimes. And so we are always anxious to hear, devotees are always anxious to hear what was the conversation happening between such great souls, right? They must be discussing something wonderful. So Shaunaka Rishi, right, who is a descendant of Bhrigu Muni, he is also very curious to know what is going on. What are they conversing? I want to know, right? Don't you want to know? Like it's two great personalities are discussing, it must be something very important. So, उनका थोड़ा reference दिया है कि विदु जी जो थे, he was son of Vyasdev and he is a great devotee of the Lord. And वो भगवान कैसे अनन्य भक्त थे कि अपने बड़े भाई को धृतराष्ट्र को कॉन्स्टेंटली एडवाइस करते थे, डोंट मेक प्लान्स अगेंस्ट usurping दिस किंगडम, ये राज्य को हड़पने की जो षड्यंत्र है ये बंद कर दो, स्टॉप ऑल दिस नॉनसेंस, ही वाज सेइंग, बिकॉज ऑफ you and your sons are doing all this against the will of Lord Shri Krishna, and Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. धृतराष्ट्र को समझ में नहीं आ रहा था, बिकॉज वो आंखों के ही अंधे नहीं थे, वो आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान की तरफ से भी अंधे थे. And he was thinking, I am this body and I want to be the king and I want to rule and I want to get name, fame and glories. And Duryodhana was his aspirations personified basically. धृतराष्ट्र की जो भी कामनाएं थी, बहुत सी बार होता है फादर्स जो होते हैं ना अपने बेटों पे अपनी इतनी ज़्यादा expectations लाद देते हैं that it becomes very difficult for the children, right, to lead a normal life. The funny thing is this, our generation is known to be in that category, जहाँ पे we did what parents wanted and after we got married and had children, now we do what children want. Well, we should be thinking it that we can meet both the needs by becoming devotees, right? Because then we would do what Krishna wants and Krishna would make an arrangement as suitable for us so that we can continue to do what he wants as our father, as our eternal father. So here धृतराष्ट्र जो है उसका desires जो है दुर्योधन के थ्रू फिल कर रहा है वो. And so Vidur ji, he understands that once when Duryodhan उनको insult करता है, he leaves his bow and arrow at the door and he leaves the palace and he leaves the city and he goes on जो कहते हैं ना तीर्थ यात्रा पे निकल गए, पिलग्रिमेज पे, तो वो तीर्थ यात्रा पे निकल गए. नाउ इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज दिस, अब उनका जब तीर्थ यात्रा का आता है तो उसके अंदर पर्पट में बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट बात बताई है, that even though तीर्थ यात्रा is recommended, it is recommended for people who are new in Krishna consciousness or people who are somewhat maturing but they have not come to an advanced state. Because Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a great acharya in the parampara, he says that one does not have to go on Tirth Yatra if one makes the dham right there wherever they are. That is an important aspect. And wherever there is Bhagavatam, that place becomes Tirth Sthan, because this is Lord himself. He incarnates as Srimad Bhagavatam. And wherever there is chanting of the holy name, that place becomes Tirth Sthan, because Kali Kale Nam Rupe Kṛṣṇa Avatare. In this Kali age, Lord appeared in his name as his name. So the name and the person who is named are not different. So wherever there is chanting going on, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that place is not a material place, it is a spiritual place, it is a transcendental place, it is above the three modes of material nature. Yesterday we discussed that Vaishnava is even above the Brahmana, because Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, but Vaishnava is above the three modes. He is in pure Shuddha Sattva, transcendental state, where he is engaged in his absolute service of the absolute truth, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, that description is coming, yes, in the beginning for people who want to become Krishna conscious, yet at the same time, today it is, in this age, it is becoming even more difficult in this Kali age, because when people go to the Tirth Sthan, you should know someone who to associate with. Otherwise, current times, the Tirth Sthan is occupied by people who are cheaters, right? Many people are there, and so you have to really know, before you go to a Tirth Sthan, always, contact a devotee who is going to give you the right direction, the right instruction, and help you understand the importance of Tirth Sthan. Otherwise, there is one incident we heard, a devotee went and the first thing, they were picked up by some pandas, and what they do is, okay, we are going to do a Havan Yagya. This is like as equal to a Ashwamegh Yagya. Put down 5,000 rupees. तो ऐसे में 5,000 दो, 10,000 दो. And आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान की बात ही नहीं है, भगवान कृष्ण की नेम ग्लोरी की बात ही नहीं है, एंड लोगों को लूट रहे हैं. सो अगेन दिस इज वेयर इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट्स व्हाई the parampara, the disciplic succession is of importance, because in disciplic succession you're getting the context, the message as Lord Krishna desired. That's why Bhagavad Gita is called as it is. Srila Prabhupada, he went around looking for an English lady asked him about an English translation of Bhagavad Gita. He looked around the libraries and the bookstores and he saw that the writers, they had actually put their personal agendas. They have completely removed Lord Krishna's message and they had put their personal agendas and sometimes Mayavadi thoughts, which is very dangerous. This is not so. He wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Lord Krishna intended. So that is the importance of Bhagavad Gita. And then if in Bhagavad Gita Lord is saying what is to be done, right? सर्वधर्मां परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रजाहं त्वां सर्व पापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं कि गिव अप ऑल वेराइटीज ऑफ रिलीजन, सारे धर्म का परित्याग कर दो, राइट? एंड मामेकं शरणं व्रजाहं, जस्ट टेक शेल्टर ऑफ मी एक्सक्लूसिवली, राइट? एक्सक्लूसिवली, ओनली मी. देन अहं त्वां सर्व पापेभ्यो, आई विल डिलीवर यू फ्रॉम ऑल सिंफुल रिएक्शंस. जो भी तुम्हारे पापों का जो रिएक्शंस हैं, आई विल डिलीवर यू फ्रॉम देम, आई विल नलिफाई ऑल ऑफ दैट. मोक्षयामि मा शुचा, आई विल गिव यू लिबरेशन. यू डू नॉट फियर, डू नॉट वरी. देयर इज नो नीड फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ शोक. We basically get this assurance. This is what? But to surrender completely, exclusively to Lord Krishna is very difficult. So how to do it? That is when we pick up SRIMADBHAGAVATAM. In SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, there are wonderful stories of the devotees who by their example show how to surrender to Lord Shri Krishna, to be able to get protection from the dangers at every step. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. So this place is a place of danger at every step. And to be able to get, safety, it is important. So now the conversation. So Maitreya Muni is conversing. So Sutta Goswami is describing the conversation based on the inquiries by Shaunaka Rishi. His Sutta Goswami को जब आप किसी से पूछते हैं तो you actually glorify. And he is saying, Shaunaka Rishi is saying, Sutta Goswami, आप तो ऐसी ऐसी चीजें बता सकते हैं जो कि हम perceive भी नहीं कर सकते हैं, because you have seen the truth, you are tattvadarshi, right, as it is. And so that makes you magnanimous. So in disciplic succession, by accepting the message as it is, as Lord Krishna intended, one becomes magnanimous, one becomes glorious because they are following the Shastras. And here Sutta Goswami is son of Romaharshan. Now when he is referred to as son of Romaharshan, we also understand that Romaharshan was killed by, he was entrusted by the Puranas, including and Mahabharata. So, yet at the same time, Lord Balaram had killed. So again, just with a straw, he kills Romaharshan when Romaharshan was on the Vyasasana. So many people are shocked that this happened. But understand, Lord blesses or Lord punishes what is liberated. So Romaharshan was also liberated from that perspective. So Sutta Goswami is describing that Viduji, descendant of Bharat, भारत की तरह उनको रेफर किया जा रहा है, राइट? जैसे हम देखते हैं अर्जुन को भी भारत की तरह रेफर करते हैं, द डिसेंडेंट ऑफ भरत, और स्कायन ऑफ भरत, भरतर्षभा. तो बता रहे हैं कि विदुर जी ने पूछा कि अरे, these matters are so inconceivable, they are so difficult to understand, but you know all the aspect Maitreya Muni, so please describe them to me, कि ये ब्रह्मा जी ने कैसे डिफरेंट टाइप के लिविंग एंटिटीज बनाए. सो हियर फर्स्ट इज वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द क्रिएशन इन दिस यूनिवर्स. सो दिस इज द सेकेंडरी क्रिएशन. फर्स्ट कैंटो, सेकेंड कैंटो, वी कवर्ड दैट एक्चुअली द प्राइमरी क्रिएशन इज डन बाय Vishnu form, Purusha avatars. And there are 3 Purusha avatars, right? 3 Vishnus have been referred there. First is the Mahavishnu, who lays down in Karan ocean. So that's why he's also called Karo Dakshai Vishnu, one who lays down on Karan ocean, causal ocean. So that's why his name is Karo Dakshai Vishnu, he is known as. And from his pores and from his breathing, and he exhales, many universes come out. And it is said that this is happening because of the pradhan, the female potency of the Lord, getting impregnated, and all these universes, they come out, they are floating on the Karan ocean. And when he inhales, all of them merge back into him. So just one breathing of Mahavishnu is the span of Lord Brahma's lifetime, and lifetime of the material universe. And so this particular lifetime where Lord Brahma, he's living for 311 trillion 40 billion years. So from our perspective, so many solar years is just one breathing of Mahavishnu. And then Mahavishnu, Karadakshaya Vishnu, further expands as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters each of the universes. So the unlimited material universes, he enters each of them. He doesn't have to do anything in the spiritual world, because the spiritual worlds are eternally existing. They don't go through all these transformations, of getting annihilated and manifested, and then there is a time that they are unmanifested, and they are maintained in between. So Mahavishnu is responsible for creation, annihilation, and maintenance of these various universes, and then he further expands and enters as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu in each of the universe. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu creates Garbhoda Koshan from his own sweat, right? And he is laying down in Garbhoda Koshan, that's why he is called Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And from his navel sprouts this lotus where Lord Brahmaji is born. And Lord Brahmaji is doing the creation impetus after he does austerity tapa, right? As he hears, and once it goes into meditation, and then he is able to see, further Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands as Shirodakshaya Vishnu, who is residing in our heart as Paramatma, as Super Soul. So in every human being's heart, Lord is expanding. And he is also present in every atom. He is also present in the spaces between the atoms. कण कण में भगवान है, जब कहते हैं हम शिरोदक्षाय विष्णु को रिफर कर रहे हैं. And from that perspective, when we see कि भगवान सर्वव्यापी हैं, again from शिरोदक्षाय विष्णु. And of course, aham sarvasya prabhu, matta sarvam pravartate. Lord Kṛṣṇa says, so again, the Vishnu Tattvas and Lord Kṛṣṇa, when they are counted together, they are counted as single, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? It doesn't become plural because it is Lord Kṛṣṇa who is expanding into these forms. That is the difference. When we have children, then they're different and they do different activities. Sometimes they do activities we don't want them to do, right? Sometimes parents don't want their children to become brahmachari, but the children become brahmachari because their consciousness is awakened early on. And even that sometimes is so sorry to say, but becomes a cause of pain for the parents. And in reality, parents should be, happy. Just like Hiranyakashipu, when he gets Prahlad as his son and he sees his son being so humble, so meek, so tolerant, and so happy, so surrendered at the lotus feet of the Lord, he should have become very happy. But being influenced by the demonic propensity, of course, this is the Doki Pajjaya we are talking about. Being influenced by the demonic propensity, that mindset, that mentality, that I am all and mine is everything. So again, I and mine, envy and lust. So I am this body, causes envy to arise. The person wants higher and higher position, and they want various designations to go with their names. The name is not enough. They want a lot of designations. And mine is, what do I possess? Mameti. This is all that belongs to me, and it will further expand and I'll collect more. So this is a demonic mindset. Everything has been provided by Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and at the time of death of this body, everything will be taken away. So what do you have? But whatever you have should not be neglected. It should be used in pleasing Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So that's why devotees focus on pleasing Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa with all they have and all they are. That is the purpose of life. That is how we seek protection at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So, here Viduji is asking about the independent action as Lord Brahma. Did he act independently in creating this universe? So yes, Bhagwan jo hai sabko, all living entities have minute independence. So Brahmaji, after he has been given the knowledge, the understanding, the ability to do the creation, this is the secondary creation, in this material universe, he acts independently and he is acting as a spiritual master for this material universe. So he is also imparting knowledge, and we get this knowledge from his activities as well. So Acharya is one who teaches by his actions. And we also see that yes, relativity is the nature of this world. Now even Lord Brahma, who is such a powerful living entity, the first living entity of this universe, can get influenced, by the mode of passion so much. He is personification of the mode of passion. And because his action is creative impetus, so he is creating things. So that is happening, economic development happens in a mode of passion. And liberation happens at the transcendental phase. But in the early hours of the day, we will also hear how spiritual advancement happens, because the mode of goodness is very much prevalent. During the day, 9 to 5 is when the mode of passion is prevalent. And 5 to 3, you can say, it is mode of ignorance taking over. Brahmotak. So, when Lord Brahma, उनको यानी गर्भोत्तर क्वेश्चन का डिस्क्राइब किया है इसके अंदर ब्रीफली, और उसके बाद में किस तरह से लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा आफ्टर गेटिंग द एबिलिटी टू क्रिएट. सो अगेन एवरी डे लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा व्हेन ही वेक्स अप, he has to go into austerity to get the ability to be able to understand how to start the creation of this universe. And on this day of Brahma, he is starting this creation. So it is not of all days of Brahma that's described. This day of Brahma, the creation, the secondary creation of this material universe has been described. Because when he goes to sleep, Lord Shiva destroys all, other living entities in this world. However, the living entities on Satya Loka, Tapaloka, they are saved because they are not destroyed. So again, those are the places, the great ascetics or the great mystics, the yogis, they go, and the great rishis. So the creation has been described very quickly, we'll cover that. So first of all, Lord Brahma created from his shadow the covering of ignorance of the conditioned souls. They are 5 in number and are called Tamishra, Andha, Tamishra, Tamas, Moha and Mahamoha. So these 5 elements are in a mode of ignorance. Tamishra refers to anger, right? So when person forgets himself and tries to be one with the Supreme Lord, वो जो condition है, परिस्थिति जब सोचता है कोई कि मैं भगवान बन सकता हूँ, this condition is Tamishra. Or Andha Tamishra is considering death to be the ultimate end, that I will die as soon as the body dies. That is Andha Tamishra. And it is ignorance due to tamas, tamulok ke karan. And the attachments increase because of moha. And Mahamoha means to be mad after material enjoyment, sense gratification के लिए अपने senses को center रख के उसको satisfy करने के लिए eat, sleep and be merry becomes the slogan in Mahamoha. So again, we have to understand that these are very dangerous things in this material world. So mode of ignorance we should try to avoid, which is indolence and sleep, laziness and indolence. And these are actually very much prevalent in Kali age, right? Prayena alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matyo manda bhagyo praduta. What are the 6 symptoms of this material world in this Kali age? Prayena alpayusha sabhya. So people have short lives. We only live for 100 earthly years, right? Kalavasmin yuge jana. And people are quarrelsome. Manda, people are lazy. Sumanda matyo, less intelligent. Manda bhag, they are unlucky. Hey, upraduta, and they're constantly disturbed, they're constantly in anxiety, they're constantly fearing something, and they are also spreading this to others. Rather, by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, we can attain all satisfaction, all peace by serving Him, by glorifying Him, by pleasing Him. So that is a very simple way with active engagement. Srila Prabhupada didn't call Bhakti Yoga as like, this is a devotion. He called it devotional service. It's an active engagement, and the processes are what enable that active engagement. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. The 9 processes of devotional service. So when Brahma created, he did not like what he just created. So he threw off the body of ignorance, and by taking this body, this mentality. So again, throwing off the body, Acharyas explain, is like giving up this mentality. But when he gave up this mentality was taken up by yakshas and rakshasas, right? And it continues in the form of night. So this mentality causes, so night is the source of hunger and thirst. That's why it is highly recommended in all the Shastras, bona fide scriptures, where after sunset we should try to avoid eating and drinking, because that is very dangerous for the body. So people who know this, they try to avoid, right? They cannot completely eliminate, but they try to avoid as much as possible to eat after sunset, because with the coming of night, the mindset of yakshas and rakshasas and this mode of ignorance, tamisha and so forth, antha tamisha, tamas moha and maha moha, they become evident. They try to influence our intelligence and our mind, our memory and our senses. और उसके बाद में when yakshas and rakshasas ने देखा, because they were very hungry and thirsty, ब्रह्मा को देख के उन्होंने कहा, eat him up, drink him up, kill him, spare him. And Brahma said that you're born of me, why are you doing this? Right? And इसलिए उनको yakshas and rakshasas बोला गया. उसके बाद में then he created the chief demigods, right? So again, this is a relative of the world. Because he realized that he created night, he has to create day. So night and day are relatively opposites. So he creates the day, he creates the chief demigods who were shining with the glory of goodness, in the mode of goodness. While mode of ignorance is all darkness, mode of goodness is enlightening. So the demigods in their effulgent form, they accepted daytime. And they took possession of the daytime. That's why जो earthly planets से ऊपर heavenly planets हैं उनको bright कहा गया है, because they are lighted, while lower planets are in the darkness, mode of ignorance, and there is a lot of suffering when you go down, but there is a lot of happiness when you go up, because everyone is serving Lord Shri Krishna more and more. Hare Krishna. Lord Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation. So that Lord Brahma, he got scared of them. He ran away. So again, this is the degraded. The more a person is degraded because of this desire to enjoy sensually, it becomes demoniac life. So such person becomes demon. So we should try to curb these feelings. So we are looking at this first part of creation where already the relativity is visible, night and day. And then, even though Lord Brahma, he looked at these demons, he laughed at this, like how bewildered they are, how stupid they are, how foolish they are. But then when they approached him, he ran out of fear. So again, sometimes, yes, because you have the knowledge, you may feel that the others are fallen, and you may sometimes, may laugh at them. But the same people, when they attack you in large masses, you run away, right? So this, you are not the first one, because Lord Brahma, the first living entity, also faced this tribulation. So there is danger at every step. The ones he is creating, they want to, devour him. They want to hurt him. They want to torment him. And so he ran, but again, he ran to the authority. So this is where he understood that this is beyond my capability. So he approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, and who is he approaching? He can approach, he goes to the bank of the Shri Sagar and he is approaching Shirodakshai Vishnu. So he can see the Lord in his heart. We, have to perform millions of years of meditation to be able to do that. Lord Brahma had performed that. So he is able to see the Lord in the heart. Not like the current yoga, Hatha Yoga, that they say, okay, you can meditate on anything, everything is Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So now but we are conditioned in this state. How do you act properly is also very important in this conditioned state, being influenced by the three modes of material nature. So one should act in the mode of goodness, and when engaged in devotional service, one can transcend the three modes, including the mode of goodness. So Lord Brahma, जब भगवान के पास पहुंचे, Shirodakshai Vishnu immediately instruction दिया that give up this mentality. So he gave up that mentality, right? And he's saying that, by giving this up, with Lord Brahma, when he gave up that mentality, क्या हुआ? Evening, twilight form आया, right? Where the day and night meet. This is the dusk time, the sun setting, right? That time, or which causes, it's a time of that kindles passion. Mode of passion becomes very strong, and because of that, जो demons थे who were running after Brahma, they took this dusk time as a damsel, a beautiful lady. And so they were lured by this dusk time. So again, with the coming of dusk, we see people, they are rushing over from work directly to the clubs, right? We've seen that with the coming of dusk. And then they spend their night in that tamas mishra and all the mode of ignorance and demoniac activities. They prevail during the night time. So there's some description given just to kind of help us understand that these are nothing but, the body of a woman is made up of the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and is basically to lure away the senses of a simple human being. And demons are very much afflicted with these desires. So by stopping these desires, we actually benefit ourselves, because these, looking at a beautiful woman or a beautiful person in opposite sex, makes your senses, they agitate your senses, right? They make us burn, they burn us from inside. But when we look at the beautiful form of Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa, oh, that is so pleasing. It calms our senses. That is the difference between transcendental happiness, which is eternal, versus this flickering material happiness, which is agitating, which is burning and temporary in nature, and causes us to desire more and more. So why does this desire grow more and more? Because the senses are never satisfied. You're chasing a mirage in the desert, right? You're thinking there is an oasis and you're chasing those mirages, and there is no mirage. So people get more frustrated and more frustrated. We talked about Pavarga, Bhavama, how one angers in Parishram, endeavor, and one gets frustrated, the foam forms in the mouth, and then Vibharti is where one gets bewildered, and finally becomes fearful, bhai, and finally faces mrityu, faces death. So we don't want to live a life which is full of frustration, full of anxiety, full of desires which are not getting fulfilled. Rather, all our desires are fulfilled when we please the Lord, when we, engage in serving the Lord, when we look at the beautiful form of the Lord, our eyes are, satisfied. When we hear the sweet flute of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, the sweet music of Kirtan, music and Kirtan, that the devotees are singing, the glories of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the devotees described in Srimad Bhagavatam, our ears are fully satisfied, our heart is completely satisfied, and we get more eagerness to hear more and more, the nectar. And all our senses are fully satisfied. So these are the glories of transcendental platform, where everyone feels transcendentally happy, and this happiness is eternal. And when you are in a safe place, there cannot be any danger, right? So we can transcend this material world simply by taking to devotional service, of which Shravanam is the most important one. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam can enable. Srimad Bhagavatam की जब कथाएं हम सुनते हैं, तो इवन अ नया जो पर्सन है, जो भक्त नहीं है, जो बस क्यूरियस है और जो जानना चाहता है, इवन ही एक्सपीरियंसेस प्रेम, प्रभु के प्रेम को वो एक्सपीरियंस कर सकता है. He can experience the love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. And so these demons were trying to lure this damsel by calling, her various ways. And in the purport, Acharyas explains, Srila Prabhupada also explains that this scenario has been used. So in the evening times, men have this habit of, seeing the women play different kind of sports, but they're not really looking at the sport, how skilled the, ladies or the women are in sports. They're looking at their bodies, and they're lured about this with this sex desire, and their eyes are burning, their hearts are burning, And they are, even though they are appreciating, but in reality they are yearning, right? They don't have tripti, right? They have a lot of trishna, as one of the shloka we read earlier, but only all your trishna can be satisfied when you come to Kṛṣṇa. They cannot be satisfied in this material world, because this material world is not a place for gentleman or lady, as Srila Prabhupada says. So we should be very careful. And what is this material world? Relativity. Rather, we should be on the absolute platform, serving Lord Shri Krishna, engaging in serving the devotees, engaging in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasam, 9 processes of devotional service, and so forth. So here, when Lord Brahma saw this, then from his own loveliness, who seemed to be enjoying himself, he created the host of Gandharvas and Apsaras. So this is again positive direction. So beautiful women came out, beautiful musicians, singers came out. And why were they beautiful? Why were they glorious? Because they were all chanting the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So after that, जो ब्रह्मा जी थे वो अपने जो shining effulgence and beloved form था of moonlight, he gave that up. And the Vishwasu and other Gandharvas, they gladly took possession of this. So the moonlight during the night time, the moonlight when it spreads, this is how it creates a perfect environment for music, for kirtan. So again, devotees engage their day as well as night in kirtan. And at night time, even asuras, the demons, they can get purification in their heart when they hear the Hari Kirtan of the Lord. So next, Lord Brahma, what did he create? He evolved from his sloth, the ghosts and fiends. But he closed his eyes when he saw them standing naked with their hair scattered. So again, he himself did not like the sight. So the hosts and hobgoblins, they took possession of the body thrown off in the form of yawning by Brahma, the creator of the living entities. Now this yawning is also known as sleep, which causes drooling. So again, when somebody is sleeping, you see them drooling, the saliva is coming out, that is because of the impure state. And these ghosts and hobgoblins, they enter the person's body when they are in unclean state. And that attack, has been spoken here as insanity. A person goes mad because of the, being overtaken by ghosts and hobgoblins. Because ghosts, hobgoblins, they are not, they don't have gross bodies, but they have abilities to enter the gross bodies. And any unclean body they can enter. So recognizing himself, this is Lord Brahma, to be full of desire and energy, the worshipful Brahma. So again, he is still worshipful. He is the first living entity, the spiritual master of this material universe. He is the creator of the living entities. He evolved from his own invisible form, from his navel, the host of the sadhyas and pitas. So sadhyas and pitas, they are in the invisible form of departed souls, right? And they are also created by Lord Brahma. So this is secondary creation in this material universe. इसमें describe किया है chapter में, 20th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3 में. और जो पितास हैं, they took them the possession of the invisible body. So that is the source of their existence. So we can perceive our forefathers being present, but we cannot see them because they are invisible. So it is through the medium of this invisible body that those well versed in the rituals offer oblations to the sadhyas and pitas. This is why people perform Shraddha ceremony in the form of the departed ancestors on the occasion of Shraddha. Now, in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada says, because in the occasion of Shraddha, the sadhyas and pitas, they are satisfied. But devotees, because they are constantly engaged in devotional service, following the 4 regulatory principles, minimum 16 rounds of chanting every day, so it is minimum. Srila Prabhupada said that you can chant unlimitedly. And if somebody is imitating, Haridas Thakur, who chants 300,000 names, right? 3 times 64, so again 198 rounds or so. 192 rounds or so, even daily, Srila Prabhupada said even that imitation is good because the person is chanting, right? They are trying to, engage themselves in remembering Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so, here, Lord Brahma, he is continuing, to create. So, being by his ability to be hidden from vision, created the Siddhas and Vidyadharas and gave them wonderful form of his known as the Antaradhan. So again, the Siddhas and Vidyadharas are created. Antaradhan means that these living creatures can be perceived to be present, but they cannot be seen by vision. So again, Antardhan ho gaye, they became invisible. So that has been identified. So one day, Lord Brahma, the creator of the living entities, beheld his own reflection in the water, and admiring himself, he evolved Kim Purushas as well as Kinnaras out of that reflection. So from that reflection came out Kim Purushas and Kinnaras, and they took possession of the shadowy form left by Brahma. That is why they and their spouses sing his praises by recounting his exploits at every daybreak. So at the beginning of the day as well as at the end of the day, beginning of night, they are constantly glorifying Lord Brahma because Lord Brahma was admiring himself, right? So he was glorifying himself within himself. So they do that. So again, the time early in the morning, 1.5 hours before sunrise, is called Brahma Muhurta. And during this Brahma Muhurta time, spiritual activities are recommended because mode of goodness is prevalent, yes, in the early hours. And this is a perfect time to make advancement. And of course, we know it's a fact. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise. So preparation to rise early starts the night before, or rather the evening before, because night time you want to be sleeping. Otherwise, if you eat during night time, you will be influenced by the mode of ignorance and the demonic thoughts will prevail. So it is better to prevent than to find cure. Prevention is better than cure. So once Lord Brahma lay down, his body stretched at full length. He was very concerned with the work of creation, had not proceeded apace, and in a sullen mood he gave up that body also. So he gave up that stretched body. Oh dear Vidur, Maitreya Muni is describing it to Vidur. The hair that dropped from that body transformed into snakes. And even while the body crawled along with its hands and feet contracted, so only the main portion of the body is there. There sprang from its ferocious serpents and nagas with their hoods expanded. So serpents and nagas came out from that body, the stretched body. One day Brahma, the self-born, the first living creature, felt as if the object of his life had been accomplished. At that time he evolved from his mind the Manus, who promote the welfare activities of the universe. So this is where Manus were created, they evolved. The self-possessed creator gave them his own human form. So they have the human form. So that's why we have the two-armed human form, just like the Manus and Lord Brahma. On seeing the Manus, those who had been created earlier, the demigods, the Gandharvas and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of the universe. Why they are applauding? Because the descendants of Manus will be performing various kind of rituals. And we talked about in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Kṛṣṇa discusses, he reveals to Arjuna that there is this, yajna is the process, but sacrifice. There is a nice collaboration between the human beings and the demigods. Demigods will provide rain, from the rain grain will come, and from grain one will sustain their bodies, engaging in sacrifice, first offering it to the demigods, one should accept that, and by making oblations, the demigods will receive these oblations and the whole arrangement of this material universe will go very nicely. So everybody prayed, all the creatures created before Manu, they prayed, O Creator of the universe, we are glad. What you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. So everyone is happy, all the other ones, not just the demigods but also the demons, because they are saying the demonic people will pray for us. And there are people in villages we see, वो लोग कहाँ जाते हैं, जंगल में जाते हैं, and they pray for the ghost, right? many tea plantation owners, they actually pray to the ghost, वो प्रेत और भूत गणस को जाकर वर्शिप करते हैं ताकि उनका जो प्लांटेशंस है उसको प्रोटेक्ट करके रखें. But what happens? Devan Deva Yajoyanti, again, so the people who worship the devas, demigods, they go to the demigods place. People who worship the pretas, the ghosts, they get ghostly bodies, after their life. So again, and these are very miserable conditions, again, both ways, because you are still in this material world. Best is to take shelter of Lord Shri Krishna, so you get out of this material world in the spiritual world. And spiritual world is filled with Vaikuntha planets. Vaikuntha means a place there is no kuntha, no misery, no anxiety, no fear. So get out of this place where there is danger at every step and go to the place where there is pleasure at every step, where every step is a dance and every word is a song. So that is our destination of the devotees that we are seeing. So here we hear about, and Srila Prabhupada says that again, the four regulative principles he is describing in the last purport, but he is saying that these are the principles of renunciation, these are austerities for purification, right? Why do you take bath? Just because you want to take bath, or you want to feel pure, you want to feel fresh, you want to feel enlivened, and you give up all that impurity when you take bath, right? So similarly, by following four regulative principles, we don't engage in sinful activities, right? Intoxication, sometimes it's hilarious at times when we see doctors taking on liquor or intoxication, because they are doctors, so they have understood from knowledge that the intoxication means they are putting toxic substance in their body, right? But because of weakness of their heart, and then they spend a lot of time in medicines to detoxicate themselves. Detoxification process takes away. So this is a punah. So again, constantly chewing the chewed, that is going on in this material world. Charvita Charvanam. So again, we should be intelligent. We should not engage in any of the sinful activities. Meat eating is sinful. Illicit sex is sinful. Gambling is sinful, right? And intoxication is sinful. So that's why we take to the four regulative principles: no meat eating, including no fish, eggs, onion, garlic, etc. Even no intoxication, including no tea, no coffee and other caffeine substances, no gambling, and even sometimes when you look at engaging and playing with in the stock market is considered gambling. So devotees try to avoid that. And no illicit sex, staying within the marriage, and if you are brahmachari, you staying away and focusing on Brahma Vidya, Grahan Karne mein, Pathan mein lagte hain brahmacharis, and Vanaprastha as well as sannyasis. Sannyasis are fully dedicated 24/7 in serving the Lord. That's what the Three Dandi Sannyasi in ISKCON and other Brahma Sampradaya branches we see refer to mind, body and words. So all of them are engaged in Lord Krishna's service. So this is like a danda, this is like a vow that they take. And Vanaprastha is the retired life, to reduce the demands of this body. So why wait till that time? We should start reducing the demands of the body early on itself. That way we will become healthy, we will become strong, and at the same time we will become happy, because all our engagements will be to please Lord Shri Krishna. So that is the meaning of yoga. So the second aspect is, don't perform sinful activities, engage in the four regulative principles and chanting minimum 16 rounds every day. During Brahma Muhurat it becomes easier because the time is perfect for chanting, for spiritual advancement. And then last is yoga. Yoga means not hatha yoga to make your body strong, but yoga is to connect with the Supreme Lord. So understand, yoga means that we want to connect with the Supreme Lord, and that connection can easily be attained by taking to Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, which is like taking an elevator to the top floor and not like going through the stairs to climb through the various floors of the building. Hare Krishna, this is where the chapter ends. And again, to each of these sons, the unborn creator of the universe gave part of his own body. So when this is happening, where Lord Brahma, he evolved great sages and he gave them various parts of his body, and they are characterized by deep meditation, mental concentration, supernatural power, austerity, adoration, and renunciation. And renunciation has been described in the purport of Srila Prabhupada as like following the 4 regulative principles that we can easily take. Sometimes people say, but if the symptom of Kali age is so, how can there can be Brahmanas? With practice, again, Shastras reveal, by taking to devotional service, we can easily transcend the 3 modes of material nature. And even when Parikshit Maharaj was there, after punishing the Kali age, he said that he can decide that these 4 places, what are those 4 places? Where there is meat eating going on, where there is intoxication going on, where there is illicit sex going on, where there is gambling going on. These are the 4 places. And Kali said, there is no place like that in your kingdom. Where can I reside? Give me something that is not among these. ये 4 जगहों से अलग कौन सी जगह है जहाँ पे मैं रह सकूँ? तो बोलते हैं ओके, सोने में भी रह सकते हो. In gold also you can reside. So gold, कनक कनकते सौगुनी माधकता अधिकाय. So again, जो कनक धतूरा होता है ना, वो और सोना दोनों कनक बोला जाता है. लेकिन जो सोने का जो मादकता है, जो मैडनेस है, इट इज 100 times more, अधिक है. क्यों? बिकॉज धतूरा तो खाने से पागल होता है कोई, लेकिन सोने को तो पाने से ही पागल हो जाता है व्यक्ति. So that's why we should be very, very careful that when we are dealing with Lakshmi ji, because we should engage Lakshmi ji in the service of Narayan. Yes, Lord Shri Krishna, you guessed it right. So this is the way we should dovetail everything that we are and we have in serving Lord Shri Krishna, in pleasing Lord Shri Krishna. That way we will enliven and keep our connection alive with Lord Shri Krishna. And when you have an alive connection, the mercy will flow. Hare Krishna. By Lord's causeless mercy, with the mercy we can be safe in every step in this life, because our every step will appear like a dance to us and every word will appear like a song to us, because we are already in Vaikuntha when we are glorifying the Lord. Canto SRIMADBHAGAVATAM ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Questions?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच. आज की श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास में हमें बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट लेसन्स मिले कि किस तरीके से हमें बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप डेफिनेटली करनी है अबाउट टीचिंग्स इन शास्त्रास, अबाउट आवर पोजीशन इन दिस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड, और इस मटेरियल एग्जिस्टेंस में कितने ग्रेव डेंजर्स से हम घिरे हुए हैं. देयर इज डेंजर एट एवरी स्टेप. आई रियली लाइक इट वेन एवर यू से पदम पदम यत विपदम ना तेषाम. ये श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी ने एक्चुअली शास्त्र में कोट किया है फ्रॉम द श्लोकास. तो
10th Canto 14th chapter.
Yes. So now, dear viewers, those of you who have joined recently, just now actually, श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास अब एंड हो रही है. आप इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग ज़रूर देख सकते हैं. और इसके अलावा हमने अपने फेसबुक पेज की भी लिंक आपके लिए शेयर की है. यू कैन कनेक्ट विद अस थ्रू फेसबुक पेज. वहाँ पे व्हाट्सएप की भी लिंक है. बहुत सी बार लोगों को क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, दे फील शाई टू आस्क इन द ओपन फोरम. तो आप हमें मैसेज भेज सकते हैं और हम एट द अर्लीस्ट आपको रिस्पॉन्स देने की कोशिश करेंगे. सो प्रभु जी, इस वक्त हमने 2 क्वेश्चंस देखे थे. एक लाइव के ड्यूरेशन में आया था और दूसरा क्वेश्चन कौशल प्रभु जी का है. पहले हम कौशल प्रभु जी का क्वेश्चन बता देते हैं. तो मीनवाइल सभी व्यूअर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्रभु जी के पास फ्यू मिनट्स हैं, वो आपके क्वेश्चंस आंसर कर सकते हैं. आप अपने क्वेश्चंस कमेंट्स में लिख सकते हैं एंड आई कैन रीड इट टू हिम. एंड थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर योर पार्टिसिपेशन. तो कौशल जी का क्वेश्चन है, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, can we chant for our family members if they are not interested for chanting? So प्रभु जी, आप जरा इंसाइट दीजिए. एंड मीनवाइल यहाँ पर मैं जरा माइक्रोफोन फिर से अटैच कर देती हूँ.
Hare Krishna, Kaushal ji. Yes, we should be praying for our family members if they are not interested. And we should be praying to Lord Krishna that please make them interested. Because we are limited, right? But Lord is unlimited. He is residing in everyone's heart as Super Soul. So we should, pray. And in the Shastras and many of the Ekadashi stories, we hear that how a king is performing the austerity, is performing Ekadashi Vrat, and then he is giving the fruit of that Vrat to his father, to his forefathers, and so forth. So we can do that, yes. Yet at the same time, we should do devotional service with so much joy, with so much pleasure, and we should experience, and we should have this loving dealing with patience, with endurance, with resilience, so that our family members, they feel rejuvenated, they feel gladdened, they want to have our company, and automatically they would be interested in doing what we are doing, because they would want to be happy, and they will ask you, how are you so happy? How are you so rejoicing? And then you can share that it is through the chanting of Mahamantra. Srila Prabhupada always said, chant and be happy. Hare Krishna. Hopefully this answers the question.
हरे कृष्णा. सो कौशल जी, प्रभु जी ने बताया हम डेफिनेटली चैंट कर सकते हैं अपने लव्ड वंस के लिए, क्योंकि भगवान के पास हम आ सकते हैं अपनी सारी डिज़ायर्स लेके. और प्रभु जी ने बहुत अच्छी तरह बताया किस तरीके से हमें हैप्पी मूड में सारी सर्विसेज करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि जब लव्ड वंस हमें देखते हैं कि हम कितने खुश हैं इस भक्ति लाइफ से, तो वो अपने आप ही इंटरेस्टेड फील करते हैं, इंस्पायर्ड फील करते हैं टू फॉलो इन अवर फुटस्टेप्स. ओके, हरि बोल. प्रभु जी, देयर इज़ अ क्वेश्चन. बैसाखी जी ने लिखा है, प्रभु जी, देर आर मैनी बुक्स ऑन आवर कल्चर एंड डिवोशनल प्रैक्टिस. हाउ डू वी नो विच आर एक्चुअली डिस्क्राइब्ड एज पर अवर शास्त्र एंड विच आर डिस्क्राइब्ड एज मायावादीज. सो इसके बारे में आप थोड़ा सा इंसाइट और गाइडेंस दे दीजिए, क्योंकि बहुत ओवरवेलमिंग हो जाता है. वी फील लॉस्ट विथ सो मच इंफॉर्मेशन, और आजकल तो लाइक होल एनसाइक्लोपीडिया इज ऑनलाइन, राइट? सो लेट मी पुट ऑन दिस माइक्रोफोन.
Hare Krishna, Vaishakhi Padiji. So again, question is very important. Now, yes, there are so many books, right? Just like there are so many kind of foodstuffs in this world, there are so many kind of flowers in this world, and there are so many kind of living entities, 8.4 million kinds, right? Yet at the same time, what is most important? So again, this is where we look at the acharyas, and Bhagavad Gita is the starting elementary ABC, right? So this is elementary study. So start with Bhagavad Gita. Then after proper study of Bhagavad Gita, and of course we also refer to Brahma Samhita, which has been translated in English by Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. We should read that also, because that is giving the summary of this creation and realizations of Lord Brahma. There is only one chapter that has been preserved. All other chapters of Brahma Samhita are lost. But even in that chapter, the prayers of Lord Brahma, which reveal amazing truths to us. And, the glorification of the Lord and His devotees, His devotees like Ganeshi, Durgaji, Lord Shiva, all these glories are described in Brahma Samhita. We should also study that. Then we should also, before coming to Srimad Bhagavatam, what's recommended is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada wrote Nectar of Devotion, which is a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That is very much applicable for our current age. So these other books that I am identifying, and then Updeshamitra, there are only 11 verses in Updeshamitra. I say Sheesh Upanishad, only 18 verses. So anybody can read like 11 verses, 18 verses, but these are very critical verses for us to understand. And they prepare us to study Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we should study, properly Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the purports, because amazing realities of this world and of absolute world have been revealed in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then, so Srimad Bhagavatam is graduation level, right? After the high school, you go to undergrad degree, so this is where Srimad Bhagavatam. And the postgraduate is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita, has so much. Just in Adi Leela, Madhya Leela, Anta Leela, in 3 sections, Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu's his whole lifespan and the teachings have been described. and amazing teachings, especially applicable for this Kali age, have been described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So by studying this, we get so much abundance of knowledge. And Srimad Bhagavatam is, is the commentary of Srila Vyasadeva on all the Vedantas, all the Vedanta Sutras. So again, this is his own comedy, Vedanta Sutras. So again, this enables us to get the essence, right? The essence of all the Vedas, of all the Puranas. Yet at the same time, some, students who want to grow, after you have studied this, then you can venture into the world, because then you will be able to distinguish what is Mayavad and what is, non-Mayavad. And of course, what is even referring to Paramatma with partial understanding versus Lord Krishna with proper full understanding. So disciplic succession mein bahut zaruri hai. And Srila Vyasadeva gave, Padma Purana and Vishnu Purana and so many other Puranas, including Devi Purana and Shiv Purana. So again, all these Puranas and Brahman Naradiya Puran is where we learn how to do worship of the deity form of Lord Shri Krishna. So these are like further you can continue to study, but before you go there, you should make sure that you have covered Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad Gita as it is very well. Hare Krishna, hopefully this answers your question.
हरे कृष्णा बैसाखी जी. सो आशा है आपको काफ़ी टिप्स मिल गई होंगी कि हम पहले अच्छी तरह भागवत गीता, श्रीमद् भागवतम और चैतन्य चरितामृत की टीचिंग्स को समझ लें. इन्हीं को ही करने में काफ़ी वर्ष लग सकते हैं, लेकिन डेस्टिनेशन और जर्नी भक्ति के केस में सेम है और ब्यूटीफुल है. सो वाइल वी डू दिस, लेट्स एंश्योर वी आर रीडिंग द स्क्रिप्चर्स, वी आर डूइंग श्रवणम कीर्तनम विद द एसोसिएशन ऑफ डिवोटीज. एंड बिफोर यू नो, एज वी रीड ऑल दिस, आपको इन टाइम प्रभुपाद की टीचिंग से और भी हेल्प मिलेगी कि और कौन से रिसोर्सेज हमें अध्ययन करने चाहिए टू इंक्रीज अवर स्पिरिचुअल progress. So, Prabhu ji, इस वक्त I don't see any question. In the beginning, there was a comment by one viewer, Vishnu Mandal ji. वो कह रहे थे, he wanted to talk to you directly. He said, can you save my life? Not financially. तो हमने अपने Facebook पेज की इंफॉर्मेशन सभी से बार बार शेयर की है, कमेंट्स में भी डाली है ये इंफॉर्मेशन एक बार फिर से. So, dear viewers, thank you so much for your participation. We are about to end the class now. And Jiva Tattva Prabhu ji usually around this time every day Srimad Bhagavatam के lessons हम सबके लिए लाते हैं. तो आप श्रवण कर सकते हैं इन ब्यूटीफुल टीचिंग्स का, और उसके बाद अपने डाउट्स भी क्लियर कर सकते हैं. एंड बैसाखी जी ने कहा है, थैंक यू सो मच प्रभु जी, आई एम रियली ईगर टू लर्न द भगवद गीता स्टार्टिंग from ABC in your guidance. So dear viewers, हम भगवद गीता की क्लासेस इस वीक में शुरू करने वाले हैं, वर्स बाय वर्स. प्लीज जॉइन अस. उसका सेपरेट लाइव होगा. और प्रभु जी प्लीज गो अहेड, वी वुड लाइक टू कंक्लूड द सेशन टुडे नाउ.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्णा.
ओम तत्सत.